I'm Zach Weiss, co-founder of Warner Wound, and this is the 2020 Virtual Windup Watch Fair. We're excited to have Seiko joining Windup for the first time this year, especially as 2020 marks such an important milestone for the brand, the 55th anniversary of Seiko's first dive watch, the 62 Mas. I recently had the pleasure of speaking with Eric Hofmann, Senior Vice President of Business Development for Seiko US, to review their latest 2020 releases. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Eric. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me today at the Virtual Windup Watch Fair. I am joined by Eric Hofmann, Senior Vice President of Seiko US. Thank you for joining me, Eric.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Seiko US?
Sure. I'm Senior Vice President of Business Development. I'm responsible for marketing, product development, web, and e-com sales for the US. I've been with Seiko now for about 5.5 years, and I've actually been in the industry for, pushing 26 years now.
And I take it you very much enjoy working at Seiko US.
Very much, especially at this time. We've gone through a lot of changes, all very positive, and we're seeing the great response in the marketplace. So it's a great time and exciting time for Seiko.
It's been a very exciting year of releases for Seiko, and this year actually marks the 55th anniversary of the release of Seiko's first dive watch, the 62 Mas. Could you take us through some of those new anniversary models?
Sure. The 55th anniversary Trilogy collection, as we call it, is really a nod back to our heritage and some of the main milestones of Seiko and our dive product. First, as you mentioned, we have the modern reinterpretation of the 62 Mas, which it's the SLA 037 and retails for 6,300. We have, in this watch, we've put the 8L55 movement, which has an approximate 55-hour power reserve. And all of these models incorporate ever brilliant steel, which is something that has not been used in the watch industry before. And ever brilliant steel is used at the deepest depths of the ocean because of its high corrosion, anti-corrosion chemical makeup. So we have the 1965 recreation of the 62 Mas. So then we have the recreation of the 1968 diver's watch, which is a monocase construction, which eliminates helium from being able to get into the watch. This monocase construction has also the 8L55 movement in it, and it's got a 300-meter water resistancy, and this retails for $6,800. Then we have the recreation of the 1975 professional saturation diver watch. This model has the 8L35 movement and is a 1,000-meter water resistancy. And this retails for $4,500 US. And it has a titanium one-piece inner case with a ceramic outer bezel. And it's about 52.4 millimeters. So these were all very important milestones in Seiko's history of dive, starting with the 62, the 68, and then the 1975 diver.
Yeah, it's a really impressive trilogy. I know we were all really excited when that was released, and the use of ever brilliant steel, as you mentioned, is extremely unique and very cool. So it's really great to see. Of those three, or actually in general, do you, Eric, have a personal favorite Seiko dive watch?
Sure. Well, the 62 Mas is really where it all started, but you're asking the wrong guy because I've got a lot of favorites. One of the models that I have here, which is the SBD009, which is a 600-meter Marine Master, which has our proprietary spring drive movement in it. And I just think this is an absolutely gorgeous piece with high polished titanium bezel. and just, this is a great watch. But then what I'm wearing now, in our most recent, I'm wearing the SPB 151, which our fans have nicknamed the Captain Willard from
Mhm.
a very famous 1970s film.
So, in addition to the 55th anniversary Trilogy dive watches, Seiko has also released this year the Built for the Ice Diver collection, which also pays respect to some really interesting history with Seiko dive watches. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's all a nod back to our history, and we talked about the trilogy pieces, which they have a common theme. Um, the 1965-62 Moss, in starting in 1966 to 1969, it was the preferred watch for the Japanese Antarctic research expedition, um, and those watches they were used on these expeditions, and they were field tested in the most extreme conditions. And these were the watches of choice for the early explorers for the Arctic. Also, we were the first watch for a Japanese explorer to get to Mount Everest, as well as it was the first watch to be on a solo dog sled run to the North Pole. So, there's a lot of rich history with Seiko prospects and the Antarctic. One of the things I found really interesting when I joined Seiko was I was able to go to Japan and meet with the designers of our Prospex products. And they were telling me that most of the time they are inspired by things of nature when developing the colors of dials and bezels and so forth. So, with this new collection, they told us that the collection was inspired by the beauty of glacial ice, the greens, the blues, and the grays. So, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to our new Seiko Built for the Ice Diver collection.
Wow, I mean, that's really striking, and you can really see the inspiration from the glacial ice in these dive watches. Is there a particular model or color that stands out to you?
Actually, my favorite one is the Blue Watch, and there's a story behind that. Recently, we've partnered with a true ice diver. Her name is Becky Schott. She's actually a National Geographic diver. She is a certified PADI ice diver, and we will be working with her and hopefully get prospects back to Antarctic in the near future. Um, but when I was talking to her about this whole program and our watches and the inspiration, and I told her about the glacial ice being the inspiration for the dials and the bezel, she told me that the blue one was also her favorite. And the reason why is the blue ice is the oldest ice on the planet. And that just speaks to the history of Seiko prospects in Antarctic, the glacial ice, and just that deep blue being so old. I love something that has a true story behind it. So I'm again, my favorite's the blue.
Yeah, that's very cool. I didn't know that the blue ice was the oldest, and yeah, now every time I see that watch, I'll think about that. So that's a really cool tie-in, and really makes you think about more than just the watch when you look at it, more than just the time. I really like that.
Exactly, and
Uh,
I think you point something out. When you think about all these things with what the Japanese put into the designs of this product, and most of it is inspired by things the moon colors that we've done in some of even our Persage watches with the beautiful blue. porcelain dials and the different finishes. Um, you're right. When you look at these timepieces, and I have many of them, there's always some other story that goes along with it, whether it be Corsage Cocktail Time or now Ice Diver. Um, there's a lot of thought that goes into the product, and I think it shows.
No, it's one of the things that I think makes Seiko a unique brand beyond just their designs. That it goes beyond and into nature. Really a fascinating approach from the Seiko design team. So I think it's a pretty good place to wrap up. And I was just wondering if there's any future plans from Seiko that you care to share before we sign off.
Well, look, I can just tell you that you've seen what we've done with the trilogy and some of our most recent introductions. And what's really happening is we've really begun to become much more focused on Seiko's core competencies, fine Japanese mechanical movements, attention to detail, and when you look at Ice Diver and then you look at the recreations, we have over 138 years of watchmaking expertise. So, yeah, I can't really get into the details, but I can tell you that if you like what you've seen this year, you're going to be amazed at what's to come.
Excellent. Well, as I said before, we're huge fans. I know everyone watching this is a huge fan as well. So thank you, Eric, for taking the time to show us these wonderful collections. And we hope to see you again in the near future, hopefully at a future in-person wind-up watch fair. So thanks for joining us, Eric.
That's great. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.